Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second episode of the Rival Opinions podcast. It is Tuesday, October 4th. I'm Ryan Crisp, here with my good friend KJ Rainey.
What's up?
We got a few things we're going to cover today. It was a crazy weekend in college football.
Crazy week, man.
A lot of upsets, a lot of unexpected stuff happening around the country.
2 weeks in a row now. Two Saturdays
This is
in a
what,
row.
like a big inspiration of mine, Josh Pate, what he said this year was a renaissance season. College football is getting completely turned around.
It's getting turned around, man.
Teams
Definitely.
that haven't been good in a long time are coming up. Look at Kansas. Kansas is 4-0 right now.
Yeah, I did see that.
College
Keeping the
game day
streak
is
alive.
going there next year.
Really?
Or next week.
Next
for the
week.
First time ever.
First time ever. I did see something about
Yeah,
that,
they're
actually.
going to be in Lawrence, Kansas for the first time ever coming up next week.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. A lot of crazy stuff happening.
Okay. So we're going to start off first. We're going to talk about the Oklahoma and TCU game.
Ooh.
Big surprise. BV, Brent Venables, again, gets beat.
You should have stayed at Clemson, man.
I mean, you can definitely tell he's never been a head coach before. I mean, he's gonna have growing pains. It's gonna take time to adjust.
Yeah, but that's a big pain right there, dude. What was the final score to that?
Final score was 50 to.
I think it was like 50-22 or
50
something.
to 22, I believe.
It was like 30 points.
Yeah.
Beaten by 30 points. Pretty crazy.
It was 55 to 24.
55 to yeah, so it's 31 points.
31 points.
Got beat by 31 to TCU.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough right there.
On the Oklahoma side of the ball, Dylan Gabriel 7 for 16, 126 yards, no touchdowns. Absolutely abysmal. Barnes got 18 carries for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Willis 2 receptions for 81 yards. I mean, nothing really happening on the offensive side of the ball.
Running back was that dude. Only reason.
But a lot of that he got in garbage time.
Yeah. It was that was a rough game to watch, to hear about. It was just
on the other side of the ball, or the other side, OU or TCU, their offense, Duggan 23 of 33, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. The running back, Miller, their leading rusher for this game, 13 carries, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Their leading receiver, Barber, 3 receptions, 107 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, TCU had a hell of a game, man. They they played good. They looked like they wanted to be there. I don't know. It was a rough game to watch as far as just like seeing where Brent Venables is at right now than where he was.
I mean, he looked lost.
Yeah,
He looked like he didn't know
exactly.
what to do.
It was sad.
And just an interesting little fact, TCU, their offensive coordinator is Garrett Riley, which is Lincoln Riley's little brother who just left Oklahoma last year. So
Interesting.
Just a little fun fact there for anybody that didn't know. And Garrett Riley, he is good. He's just like his brother. He's a good offensive mind. Next, let's move over to the Georgia and Missouri game.
Ooh, yeah.
Number 1 team in the land, Georgia Bulldogs, roll into Columbia, Missouri, and stumble.
Stumble for the second week in a row now.
They did.
They did against Kent State. They kind of pulled out more on Kent State though than they did Missouri.
Well, I mean, but Missouri is way better competition.
True, that is true.
And it was a road game.
Yeah.
It was a road game in the SEC where you can get punched in the mouth at any time. Final score of that game is 26 to 22.
Close game.
Georgia really got outmatched.
Yeah, straight up.
Even though Georgia is the more talented team, they got
Missouri played a better game than Georgia.
Looking at some of the stats here, Stetson Bennett was 24 of 43, 312 yards, no touchdowns. McIntosh was their leading receiver with 11 carries for 65 yards. And Bowers, their leading receiver, which, interesting fact, their leading receiver for this game was a tight end. Which he is probably the best tight end in the country.
Yeah.
He had 5 receptions for 66 yards. Georgia only scored 2 touchdowns in the game. The rest of their points were field goals. They both came in the fourth quarter, and they were both on 1-yard runs by Kendall Milton and Dejuan Edwards. So, I mean, how long can you really go in a game? Like, maybe they can get by with it with Missouri, not scoring a touchdown until the fourth quarter. But you can't do that against Tennessee.
No.
Can't do that against Florida. I don't know. It looked like a completely different Georgia team.
Yeah. We literally just said last podcast last week, for sure Georgia's the number 1 team in the nation. I mean, I was very confident in that because they look so good, but then, I don't know.
I still think they're probably one of the best teams in the nation, if not the best.
They've dropped
team in the
one
nation.
spot. They're at number 2 in the AP polls now.
Which, Stetson Bennett, he got exposed for what I've always thought he was, which is an average to below average quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he's nothing special. He had elite players around him last year. That's what made him look good. He's not going to go out and win a game for you, as you can see with him throwing it 40-plus times. He's not going to go and win a game for you.
No.
But, I mean, with Missouri controlling most of the game, Georgia did what elite teams do in that situation. They found a way to win the game.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, they found a way to win.
Yeah, they won.
It'll be interesting to see where Georgia goes from here, if they can get things straightened out. Because right now they've took 2 steps back in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know if I should be sold on Georgia or not. Honestly.
I'm not sold on Georgia.
You're not?
No. No. If you want me to be honest, I think if Alabama and Georgia played right now, Alabama would win anyways. I mean, Alabama's a good team too.
Alabama's
Stout team.
a good team. But Alabama hasn't looked dominant all year either. I mean, they came out and got a big lead against Arkansas this past week and came out 28-0. Arkansas climbs all the way, getting the game to 28-23, gets the onside kick, makes a couple mistakes, and the game ends up 45-23.
Yeah.
But Arkansas was in that game.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
final score doesn't really reflect that.
Yeah.
So, and Alabama struggled with Texas. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't think there's any really super dominant, unbeatable team this year. Everybody looks beatable.
Everyone, yeah. I can.
Even Ohio State, another top 4 team, they struggled early on with Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame comes out and loses to Marshall.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to keep up with now because like everyone's almost getting beat, and these. I mean, little schools, they're still Division I. They still got good athletes, but it's just like schools you would have never thought would even come close. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's definitely crazy to watch, but it's interesting too because
it's a very interesting season to see what's going to happen. Our next topic we're going to go to is the Wake Forest and Florida State game, the team that you played last week.
Yeah.
Final score of that game is 31 Wake Forest to 21 Florida State in Tallahassee.
Yeah. Wake Forest actually jumped up 7 spots. They went from ranked 22nd to 15th. Jumped 7 spots, yeah. Wake Forest is good, man.
Wake Forest is good.
Yeah. Wake Forest is a stout team. They look good this year. Both ends, I think.
Their defense.
Defense could use some work, but.
I mean, but overall, Wake Forest is a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
They're a solid team. I mean.
And I honestly think they ranked them right.
I do too. They're about where I think they should be.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. I think that they deserve to be out of the 20s, more into the teens, but 15 I think is a good spot for them. They just look stout, man.
Stats for that game: Hartman was 22 of 34, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. Their leading rusher, Ellison, 18 carries for 114 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And their leading receiver, A.T. Perry, 8 receptions for 91 yards and a touchdown. So Wake they were getting it done on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, 31 points. I like the direction Florida State's going. They're finally showing some growth under Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
They come out early in the season, upset LSU. but they're just not there yet.
No,
But
not yet.
I do think they're good enough to beat anyone at any time. I think they can pull the upset on
If they
somebody.
need, because I mean they're a stout team,
Yeah,
just like I said.
I just don't think they're there yet to be consistently good.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that.
I think any week they can beat anybody that's left on their schedule.
Yeah.
See the Florida State stats here. Travis, 23 of 35, 281 yards, 3 touchdowns. On the ground, Ward, 13 carries for 87 yards, no touchdowns. And their leading receiver, Pittman, 5 receptions, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, they had a pretty productive day on offense. They stalled some.
It happens, though.
I mean, especially in the second quarter. That's what hurt them. They get outscored 14-0 in the second quarter.
Yeah. Went zip in the second.
Yeah, they were never really able to dig themselves out of that hole.
Yeah. But overall, I think it was a good game. But I think Wake Forest is just they're a pretty stout team.
I do too. Kansas State got the win again this week, which I don't know if you remember. We talked about them last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really, really high on Adrian Martinez. I love to see what he's done since he's left Nebraska because I was high on him at Nebraska. And then he got a lot of hate. And I didn't think it was his fault there. I thought it was just a situation he was in. He comes to Kansas State. They win over the Red Raiders of Texas Tech, 37-28. Really great game. He scored on the ground, scored through the air. Let's see. He was 12 of 19, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Not a great game, not a bad game. Solid.
Yeah. Got the
Doing
job
what he
done.
needs to do.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was a lot of hate on Adrian Martinez last year, and I'm really excited to see him proving people wrong.
Yeah. It's great to see, man. Great to see.
I definitely think so. Now we can come over to the Alabama-Arkansas game, which I know we already touched on just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to read off the stats for that game. Bryce Young, who missed a good portion of the game, was still their leading passer.
Really?
7 for 13, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I mean,
that's pretty stout right there.
And I think he didn't even play the whole first half.
Exactly.
Out the rest of the game with a shoulder injury, which he should be good to return next week. Which I really do think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the country. Won the Heisman last year. I think he will probably win the Heisman this year. And go very high in the NFL draft. Gibbs had 18 carries, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Crimson Tide. Receiving, Prentice got 3 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. On the other side, KJ Jefferson, 13 of 24 for 155 yards, 1 touchdown. Rushing, Rocket Sanders, 22 carries, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. And their leading receiver, Jackson, got 4 receptions for 48 yards and 1 touchdown. So you can kind of see the difference in the strength of their offenses there.
Yeah.
Which everyone knew coming into the game that Arkansas's offense, they're not going to throw the ball. They're not going to beat you through the air. They're going to run.
Yeah, they're going to run.
That's what they're best at. Well, we can transfer over now and talk. What do you think the best game overall last week was?
Oh, dude, that's hard, man. I mean, it wasn't a crazy close game, but honestly, I could say, from an unbiased point of view, the Wake Forest game.
The Wake Forest
I
game?
think that was a very interesting game to watch. I don't know, man. I just like watching Wake Forest. I don't know why. They're stout. I'm telling you,
They
man.
are. I think my favorite game to watch last week, it was competitive. It went all the way to the very last minute of the game. Was the Ole Miss and Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, Kentucky goes on the road to Oxford, gives Ole Miss everything they can handle. Number 7 Kentucky coming in against number 14 Ole Miss. Even though they were higher ranked, but they were the underdog.
Yeah.
They weren't favored. Ole Miss was favored, which I thought was interesting.
Which is rare. You usually never see that. But, I mean, how the top 25's been this year, it's not surprising,
Yeah,
honestly, to me. I mean,
topsy-turvy.
yeah.
Will Levis had a great game, 18 to 24 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. Rodriguez on the ground for the Wildcats, 19 carries, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown. Then you had Brown through the air, 2 receptions for 81 yards. I mean, the Wildcats offense, it was looking good, but they just could not keep up with Lane Kiffin's squad. Jackson Dart on the Ole Miss side was 15 to 29, 213 yards, 1 pick. And their leading rusher was Judkins, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure. But 15 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Their leading receiver, Heath, 6 receptions for 100 yards. I mean, it's Lane Kiffin's team. You know they're going to have a good offense. And I think Ole Miss really exposed Kentucky and made Kentucky look way more beatable. Because their offense, Kentucky's offense is really... You should be able to exploit them because they have very obvious weaknesses if you look at it. That'll be an interesting matchup next week when South Carolina goes up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I guess we're about to find out next week.
I will actually get to see that in person. I'm making the road trip up to Lexington. Gonna hear the banjos playing up there. Hopefully I come back playing one on myself, singing a victory song. Well, we can move on now. Let's talk about... I guess we can move on to them kitty cats.
Let's talk about the Clemson Tigers, man, because the question you asked earlier, my favorite game to watch, I would honestly say, in just a serious note, was the Wake Forest game and the Clemson game. Of course, because it's my team, but also I think it was just a stout performance by Clemson on both ends of the ball. Secondary looked way tighter. We knew when to get in zone. We weren't playing man as much because when we play man, we get burnt.
Yeah, you're getting beat.
So we switched it up, playing more zone. DJ, I think he did phenomenal. 21 of 30 with his passes, 209 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 of those being rushing touchdowns, 1 passing.
Actually, interesting fact, your leading rusher was actually DJ.
Really?
He had 14 carries for 73 yards.
Wow. Dude, that's crazy. I mean, he played a really good game, and I think Clemson overall, I have nothing bad to say about them. They played a pretty stand-up game, I think.
They played a really good game. DJ really stepped up to the plate. Now, NC State, if you listened to the podcast last week, I said for them to be able to beat Clemson, they had to be able to do 2 things. They did one of them. They were able to pass the ball. I mean, Devin Leary, 28 of 47, 245 yards, a touchdown and a pick. They passed the ball.
Yeah.
But I also said they had to be able to, even if they weren't running it regularly, they had to be able, when they handed the ball off, when they ran, they had to get 4 or 5 yard runs. They had to have those chunk plays on the ground to keep the defense honest.
Yeah.
You had to not be one-dimensional against Clemson because that defensive line is very good.
Yeah.
If they know that all you can do is pass the ball, they're going to key on you. And it's going to be a long day. NC State ended up averaging 1.6 yards a carry.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, our defensive line is another nature, man. I mean, it's good. And I think one thing that we did well is how you said they were one-dimensional in the game. All we did was run zone.
Yep.
And we were on zone, and we did good on zone. I like it. I was liking what I was seeing Saturday. It was...
Yeah, looking at the stats offensively on both sides, DJ, the leading passer and rusher, with 21 of 30, 209 yards and a touchdown. Then 14 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Your leading receiver is Brenningstool. 4 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown.
I'll say something about him. Same with the Wake Forest game. Never heard of this kid. I don't even know if he started at the beginning of the season. But either way, this kid he's getting touchdowns, he's making routes, he's catching the ball and moving the ball. I'm telling you, this kid, he looks good. Like I said, the first time I heard of him, he scored a touchdown in the Wake Forest game. And ever since that, I mean, he's in the game, he's doing his stuff, catching the ball, man. It was cool to see.
In contrast with that 1.6 number I gave you for NC State, Clemson averaged 3.8 yards a carry on the ground, which is still not a great number, but if you can average 3 to 4 yards a carry, that's all you need.
Yep.
That's all you need.
Yep. I will say, too, for people wondering about Brian Brzee, he was out last game. They didn't really tell what he was out for. It was unrelated to football. Just came out today. He had a kidney infection, and he will miss Boston College, too.
Oof.
Yeah, sucks.
I don't think you'll have much trouble up there.
I don't think so. It just sucks to see,
You
I
playing
guess.
them at home, or?
No. I think we're going there. I don't look it up.
So let's check and see where.
I think we're going there, if I'm not mistaken.
You are
Going there, yeah. Going to Boston College.
Boston College. I mean, they've gave you trouble up there in the past. They have.
Come on, man.
That's two teams that have always been a thorn in Clemson's side: Boston College and Syracuse. When you got to go there.
Man, I really don't like Syracuse.
For some reason, those Northeast teams, whenever you got to travel up there, they've always given you trouble.
I don't know, man. I think we got it in the bag.
I don't think Clemson has another test this year until they go on the road to Tallahassee. I think that's their next test, really.
I mean, really, if you think about it, though, every team's pretty much a test. As far as just seeing all these games played out, I mean,
yeah, the way college football has went this year, yeah, I mean, you never know. But if you want to be like me and be a nerd and look at the analytics and numbers, the next team that should be able to give you a little bit of a game is Florida State. But
Florida State's a stout team too. Taking nothing away from them, they're stout, yeah.
All right, well, we can move over now to the Thursday night game. Had to be moved up for Hurricane Ian. Prayers out to everyone that was affected by the storm.
Yeah.
South Carolina taking on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. South Carolina plays the South Carolina State Bulldogs. I mean, weird game, moved up to Thursday night. Overall, I liked South Carolina's performance. They looked sloppy at times. I think Spencer Rattler had a really, really good game, even though his stat sheet would not tell you that. He really impressed me. Spencer Rattler, 21 of 27.
What was it? Yeah, I was about
212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But both interceptions he had hit our wide receiver, Xavier Legette, in the hands. He bobbled it, or it bounced off his hands, went to the defender.
Dude needs to know how to catch the ball.
Yeah. I hate that that's got to go on Spencer's stat line because neither one was his fault at all.
It goes on there, though. Trust me. I've seen the same with Trevor Lawrence having, not so good stats, and it's not his fault.
I mean, you take those 2 picks away. You say those are both completed like they should be. He's 23 of 27. Over 200 yards. One of those probably goes for a touchdown. Overall, very, very solid day for Spencer. He looked very comfortable in the pocket. He was stepping up. He was finally setting his feet. He wasn't just happy feeting his way around back there, dancing around. He's got a bad habit of doing that.
I think it's a lot more pressure on him when he plays a team with a good defensive line. I think he runs out of the pocket too much.
He does.
I think he panics too easily. It's almost like like I've been saying, dude, step in the pocket.
Yep,
you'll get more of a look. You'll get more time because people think that if you step into the pocket, you're just stepping into defenders, but that's not the truth because if your line is really doing their job, they're trying to get them away from you, not away from the pocket. You know what I'm saying?
A horseshoe.
Yeah, a horseshoe.
You're gonna have more time
exactly.
to step into the pocket.
Because when you got to think, let's say you hike the ball, you wait about 1-2 seconds, the defenders are coming and you run off. They're gonna get off the offensive lineman easy. All they gotta do is run the opposite way.
Spencer, he had a pretty solid game. I was really impressed with how he looked. I hope it's able to transfer to a higher level of competition other than South Carolina State. We'll see in Lexington.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It'll be something to see against, a little bit of a higher competition. But I will say You know, he played a pretty good game.
Our offensive play calling, it looked a little better, but man, they're still killing me with the swing passes. Marcus Satterfield, swing pass sat. I mean, I hate it so much. It's the most boring dink and dunk offense you'll ever watch.
You got to do something with that.
I still say fire Marcus Satterfield. I've been saying it all year. I'm going to say it every podcast until we fire Marcus
T-shirts
Satterfield.
are coming out soon.
Fire, swing past that. Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Hey, kudos to Stephen Garcia for coming up with this game, by the way. See, South Carolina's leading rusher for the game, Marshawn Lloyd, 11 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Great to see Marshawn. Marshawn is running hard. He's running pissed off. You can finally see what the hype was about now that he's finally gotten healthy. You understand why he was so highly recruited in high school. I mean, shades of Marcus Lattimore sometimes. He runs the football really, really well. South Carolina's leading receiver on the game, Jalen Brooks, 3 receptions for 61 yards. It's great to see Jalen Brooks finally coming to his own. He came in under Will Muschamp, transferred from Colorado State, followed Mike Bobo here. Remember, there was some hype around him, and then nothing ever really came of it his first year. Last year, he leaves the team for unrelated football reasons, never comes out why. Comes back this year after spring ball. I mean, no one was expecting Jalen Brooks to do this, and he's made himself a very solid wide receiver number 2 for you. And competing with Juice Wells for a wide receiver 1, really. South Carolina State completely outmatched all game. Final score of the game, 50-10. Game was never really in doubt. It was great to be under the lights in Williams-Brice Stadium. I think the reported attendance for the game was like 60,000. Yeah, even though I don't know if I believe that. It looked smaller, but understandable. I mean, the game's moved up to a Thursday. Very proud of Carolina fans for showing up like they did for a Thursday night game against South Carolina State.
Having work the next day, man. That's commitment right there.
I think it's more now. I hope. I'm excited to see, nervous to see, can we take what we did against Charlotte and South Carolina State? I mean, no disrespect to those programs, but cupcake games. Small-time schools, easy wins. Can you take something from those, transfer it to when you go back into SEC play this coming week? Is it building confidence for your team? What are you able to take that's going to help you compete with and beat Kentucky? We'll see. I mean, I'm still not sold on our offense simply because of Marcus Satterfield. But I do think if we go into Kentucky and get killed, if we go out there and the offense looks abysmal, heads are going to roll. It's going to be bad. And I don't think it's just going to be the coaching staff. I think it's going to be personnel too. People are going to lose their jobs. People are going to be switched around because it's unexcusable if we play like we played against Georgia State, against Arkansas, against Georgia, against Kentucky.
And now we will have our predictions for Clemson and the Carolina game this Saturday, and then we will give our opposing predictions to each team. So, let's see, man. Boston College. Clemson's got it in the bag. I mean, I don't have any doubt in my mind that Clemson won't win that game. I think the final score, I'd say, let's do 45 to, I'll give them 7-10, 45-10.
I'm going to give a few more points to you. I do agree. I do think Clemson handles Boston College on the road. It is in Boston College. I think Clemson gets up early, maybe throw some backups in. Boston College gets a couple scores. I'm going to go Clemson 35, Boston College 17.
Okay.
Then coming up for the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Gamecocks making the road trip up to Lexington, Kentucky. 7 o'clock kick, night game in Lexington. Gonna be a great one on Kroger Field. Finally see how South Carolina can respond after losing their first 2 SEC games, going into SEC East play. I do think, especially after watching the Ole Miss Kentucky game, I do think Kentucky is beatable. So, my opinion from last week to this week has changed. I think South Carolina can and will beat Kentucky.
Dude.
I do.
Oh, come on, man. Not so fast, my friend.
No. My final prediction for the score. 24-17. South Carolina sputters early. Kentucky gets maybe a 10-0 lead. Maybe 10-3 going into halftime. Something like that. South Carolina's second half team come out, light it up, maybe swing past that, actually decides to throw it down the field instead of horizontally all the time. But I think we can come out there. I think we can beat the Wildcats. It's going to be an interesting one to see for sure.
I do not. That is highly disagreeable towards me. Kentucky, I'm not going to say they didn't do good, and they didn't do good last week. You might see that as a hiccup from them, but, man, they got Carolina, man. They got Carolina. My final score, let's see what. I'm going to give them 35-10. Kentucky.
I can guarantee you, I think everybody's going to be screaming fire, swing past that if we only score 10 points.
Well, that's something I guess you guys have to talk about, but I mean, I don't know, man. I think Kentucky's just a better team.
I do, but I think they're exploitable. I think we've had extra time to prepare, having the Thursday night game. We've got a little edge on them there. I mean, Kentucky, they played Saturday. They weren't able to install this game plan that they had for South Carolina until after the game with Ole Miss. South Carolina was already preparing for Kentucky when Kentucky was playing Ole Miss. So we've got a little edge on them there, too.
I guess we will see.
We will see.
We will. Well, thanks for tuning in. Prayers out to everyone involved in Ian. We hope that you guys are all right. The Florida people and
Florida, low country of South Carolina.
Yeah, low country South Carolina, man. Prayers are out to you guys. I know it's rough. It's because you can't help stuff like that, man. It's
we'll bounce back. Florida will bounce back. They're already working on getting people out of there, trying to restore power. I know there's places in the low country here, and there's definitely places in Florida right now that still don't have power from the storm.
Yeah, man. Myrtle Beach got hit way harder than I thought they would. Because, at first they said that it was going to go Florida through kind of through us a little bit up here in, upstate.
Yeah, no, it went through Florida, bounced out, and came back into South Carolina.
Came through South Carolina. Columbia got it, I heard, pretty bad as far as, storming, but as far as, the actual hurricane, prayers go out to everyone at Myrtle Beach, Florida, everywhere, man.
And everyone, if you're tuning in on YouTube, maybe we popped up on your recommended, maybe you're just looking for football content, we do have other social medias. We would really appreciate you going and following. We're on TikTok, on Instagram. All you need to do is search Rival Opinions.
On Instagram, it'll be Rival_Opinions_ and on TikTok, it's just Rival Opinions.
There
and
you go.
There you go. That's us, man.
Go follow the other social medias on TikTok. You'll be getting plenty of clips from the show, and then we may even record some independent stuff from the show for TikTok, for Instagram. I can tell you I'm planning this weekend in Lexington. I'm going to be giving a halftime report and my opinions on the final of the game live from Lexington on the Instagram story. So tune into that if you're a Clemson fan to see me mad, I guess. If you're a Carolina fan to see me celebrating.
I will be on there. I have to watch the game. I will not be on there if they're winning, which I highly doubt. So I'll probably be tuning in. Clemson fans, come tune in with me.
You can all drink your haterade.
Thank you guys for tuning in, though. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Rival Opinions going to the moon.
Very soon.
Very, very soon. We're already on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Fastest growing podcast in the South Carolina area.
In the world.
In the world.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.